Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Isn't there supposed to be a good cop?
Oh, yes, but we're not done yet.
Hi, buddy. I'm your friendly neighborhood police officer. Would you like a glass of water?
Yeah, actually, that's
Too bad.
Hello and welcome to this week's Monday Movie Show, again on a Tuesday. No comment?
I'm saying nothing.
You're saying nothing?
Yeah,
okay.
Well, that's going to be really helpful, isn't it, in a review show? Saying absolutely nothing, keeping stum.
Yeah, or you could just have the same problems you had before and you won't have to say nothing because it won't come through. Hopefully that's not going to happen. We are on a Tuesday again. This is down to me. Anyone who has been following us on the show, I'll explain in a minute why exactly, but we've been this week was meant to be back on Monday. Unfortunately it wasn't, because of the fact that I'm currently having a property renovated, need to be there for things, and just not worked out for me being able to get back in time to be able to do the show. So instead of doing it last night, moved it to today. So you've got now the Tuesday movie show for the second week running.
Yeah,
Not really sort of intending to change the name that way, but no. Anyone who's not listening to us live, this is going out on the 17th of March already, a third of the way through the year. And there's these movies coming up in the show.
It's a very short show this week, I would say, considering that there's not very much released in the cinema. So, released on Friday, because it does seem a bit of a big gap, doesn't it, from the Friday releases up to Tuesday.
Yeah.
But we're looking at Liam Neeson in his latest stereotypical thriller role of Run All Night. And then mathematical drama, do not switch off for this, though, even though it's a mathematical drama, with X and Y. X plus Y. X and Y. Depending on how you want to look at it.
X and Y, yeah. But it's with an interesting cast looking as well. I haven't seen it, you've seen it, but we'll get to that anyway. Also, as we normally do, our look at some movie news charts, including the cinema charts and also DVD and Blu Ray charts, which will then go on to DVD and Blu Ray releases this week.
Where horror takes a front seat apart from two films. One of the films that's not horror related is The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. And then we do delve into horror with Horns and Extraterrestrial. And then, I'm not sure, is it a drama, science fiction film or whatever, Continuum?
It's, drama, science fiction drama. Yeah, that kind of suits it fine.
So it's a sci-fi drama with Continuum, and then we'll round out this week's show with a double bill of horror in Starry Eyes and another Christian horror in The Remaining.
If you are listening to us live, you can join in chat in the bottom right hand corner of your screen in the Spreaker webpage. If not, then feel free to leave us feedback on others on wherever you are listening to us. Particular things like iTunes, you can do that. That's no problem to do. You can also email us at any point at mondaymovieshow@yahoo.com. You can tweet us at Monday Movie Show. You can tweet Stuart directly at Tadpole, myself directly at AHDVD, and we can also be found on mondaymovieshow.com Facebook.com/Monday Movie Show on Facebook.
Yeah, we haven't fully taken over Facebook.
No. But then also there's our website, mondaymovieshow.co.uk, that you can also check out updates and things, which lets you know in advance what's going to be on the show too.
Yeah, new trailer up on there for Insidious Chapter 3, which is out in June, and actually looks pretty decent.
Yeah, so we know who'll be reviewing that when it comes out in the cinema.
Yeah, because it's released the same week as Spy.
Maybe I can review Insidious 3 then.
No, not gonna happen.
No, okay. Right, let's kick on then first off with some movie news. A couple of pieces I've got. A sad piece announced that the co-director of Still Alice, the movie that recently won an award, an Oscar award for Julianne Moore's performance in the film, has unfortunately passed away last week at the age of 63. He died last week in Los Angeles of complications from ALS. It's a kind of a weird, odd way, the fact that he died of a degenerative disease similar to the illness that the character played by Julianne Moore in the film is, because her character suffers from a form of Alzheimer's, which not exactly the same, but is a disease that does sort of take over and affects you and has something. So there is a sort of a kind of a similarity between the two, and that's one of the things that people have said. I still haven't seen it. Still haven't seen it. You've seen it, but I still haven't had a chance to see it yet. And from what I'm hearing, everyone's saying that his direction and his involvement on it was affected largely by his experience of being a sufferer from a degenerative condition such as ALS.
Yeah, the thing with the ALS is a lot of people took part in the Ice Bucket Challenge last year, and that's what that was for. It was for ELS. What he did directing the film is he directed the last part of the movie using an iPad, using text-to-speech on an iPad. So it shows you how far technology has actually come forward. If a director can actually direct a movie using a text-to-speech function on an iPad. So he was really eager to get this film finished, and he put his heart and soul into doing the movie before he passed away, because I'm guessing he had the feeling that his time was nearly up, because ALS is such a really harsh disease on the body. It really does eat away at you, and a lot of people must have seen numerous videos on that disease when they were taking part in the Ice Bucket Challenge. So it is
myself included.
Ditto, same here. It is a degenerative disease, and so the way you actually...
I didn't see your video.
Yeah, I did do it.
Okay,
yep. I was nominated by 5 people in one day.
I shall have to look for that. I don't remember seeing your video.
'Twas very cold. 'Twas really, really cold. But yeah, it is a really harsh disease, and I'm glad that he managed to finish this final project before passing away.
Yeah. My other piece of news I have is regarding a bit of casting news for the long-delayed, long issues with remake of or reboot of The Crow. They have now cast, after apparently I think it was Luke Evans at one point, then he had to drop out, then it was Mark Wahlberg they were talking about, then he dropped out. It's now been filled with the actor Jack Houston. Many people will know him from the TV series Boardwalk Empire. I know him from a couple other things as well, but he is a name to be recognised as well, because he is now, I'm not entirely sure which one it is, but he's the son of one and the nephew of the other. I think he's the son of Angelica Houston and the son of Danny and the nephew of Danny Houston. And he's been cast in the character of Eric Draven, the main character that was played by Brandon Lee in the original film. It's also been announced by James O'Barr, the creator of the characters in the comic, that they've also cast now the character of Shelley Webster, Draven's fiancée, in there, which is being played by Jessica Brown Findlay, who I don't know her, but she's very well known apparently for the TV drama Downton Abbey.
Oh God, yeah, I've never seen a single episode of Downton Abbey yet, and supposedly the film starts shooting in the spring. Yeah,
I think they're still hoping to have it out this year, but
not going to happen.
Tight. Yeah, I don't see that happening. But I think it's still listed as having 2015 as its date for releasing sometime. I don't know for sure, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's just that film is cursed. It is really badly cursed. There is Brandon Lee is probably just cursed them and saying, "Do not remake it." What's the point?
Well, the thing is, right, it is one of those films that has stood the test of time. The original is a film that I watched recently, and it's still quite prophetic and really quite powerful.
Yeah, it is. It is one of those noiristic, stylish movies. So that kind of film, a film with a noir feel to it, I feel like it stands the test of time, because the whole point of the movie is to have as little colour and be really dark and dingy in it. So I think they can stand the test of time. So The Crow definitely it doesn't look like an early 90s film at all. So this
does make you wonder. Does make me wonder though as well. When every time I think about The Crow, it makes me wonder what's going on with director Alex Proyas, because he's not really done a lot recently.
No, so it's just weird. It's just weird. Is that for your news?
Yep. What news have you got?
Gareth Edwards' Star Wars spin-off film has officially been given a title. The film will be called Star Wars Rogue One. In other Star Wars news, Star Wars Episode 8 has been given a release date of May the 26th, 2017.
I'm still not hyped about Star Wars, the new ones now. I'm going to wait until I see anything more, because I've not been impressed, to be honest, with the teaser trailer that we saw a while ago, and I'm looking forward to seeing when they finally release a full trailer, but I'm not holding my breath expecting it to completely blow me away.
I see the full trailer getting released out of Comic-Con. That's when I think they're going to release the full trailer for it.
Actually, I don't think they'll do that. I think we're actually going to see... I don't know if it's possible. We might see something ahead of Age of Ultron. Cause it's
not going to happen.
It's not. We might see something, not a full thing, but I think we might see something because obviously it's all Disney. You know, Marvel owns Disney, Marvel owns Star Wars. The only other thing I can think of is anything big Disney coming out. Is there any big animation things? The only thing is the Disney animation that's coming up. The one... I forget the name of it, like Small Bodies or something. The one
Inside Out.
Inside Out, that's the one. Is it when that's coming out? Because I can't remember that is that, but I expect if that's going to be before Star Wars is due, Star Wars Episode 7 is due, no doubt they'll get the trailer out before that.
Well, they won't actually do it before the Age of Ultron. They won't do that because that'll take some of the Age of Ultron hype away from it. Because if people will be more interested in watching a Star Wars trailer than they are in watching Ages of Ultron, so they'll not do it then. Inside Out is out in the US on the 19th of June. I don't know when we get it over here. It's a Disney Pixar film, so I don't know if they'll actually play it before that as well. We don't get it until the 24th of July. So that's a bit of a big gap there between the US and UK release. I still think Comic-Con is probably the best place to show it. Or release it very near the time of Comic-Con. Because then they can get the geeky hype at Comic-Con, just getting a lot of people just salivating over the fact that they're going to finally see the Star Wars trailer. Look what they did with Godzilla, for example. At Comic-Con, they showed bits and bobs of it just to get the hype bubbling under. And Comic-Con's the perfect place to do something like that. So I think it'll be at Comic-Con when they show off the full trailer. That's just me.
I'm just not hyped about it, to be honest. Until it's out and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go and see it. I'm honestly not hyped about it at all.
Yeah, I'm not neither. I'm a Star Trek fan over a Star Wars fan, so... Next piece of news is Joseph Kosinski has confirmed that he will return to direct the third film in the Tron series. He's also confirmed that it will begin shooting later this year.
I'm really happy about that, actually, because I'm one of the people who likes Tron Legacy. I really enjoyed it. I admit it's got faults. I don't think they're down to him in the direction. I think they're down to the story and the writing. I think, though, that it's expertly directed. I think it's nicely handled, and the effect scenes are really, really nicely done. But not just they become just special effects things. They actually are. They're visually impressive and visually just interesting. And I really enjoyed it, and plus it's also got a great soundtrack from Daft Punk. I hope they're going to get them back in for doing that as well. But it's then he followed it up by doing Oblivion as well, which is a fantastic film. It's a really big film as well, and it's not just big visually. It's a big, taking chances with getting that film made and did it, and it shows that he's the right person to do something as big as a Tron film needs to be, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does.
I'm not, to be honest, because I'm sort of like in between, because Tron I thought was a bit and same with Oblivion. Actually, I thought that Oblivion did have problems, so I wasn't as big a fan of those two films than you are. I think I liked Oblivion more than Tron.
Well, tell me this though, with both films, did you think that the problems were with the story or with the film, the direction and such?
A bit of both. I think that it's just... I felt like with Oblivion, the film fell apart in the last 20 minutes. Its structure just didn't match the rest of the film, and it just felt like a movie where it was pieced together from loads of different other films. It was a very Frankenstein movie. It didn't seem to have an identity of its own. And that's down to how the movie is directed. So that I didn't think that much of Tron Legacy neither. So you can do this one because you're so hyped about it anyway when it does come out. So
I'd say actually, as much as I haven't seen anything about it, because of the way it was set up with the last Tron film, I'm more hyped about Tron, whatever they call the third one, than I am about the next Star Wars film. Does that not say something?
I couldn't be bothered about both of them, to be honest. So, another piece of news is, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Let the Right One In is set for another remake. This time in the form of a TV series by American channel A&E. Jeff Davis, the showrunner for MTV's Teen Wolf, will adapt the story for the small screen.
You know what? Hearing that, I say, okay. I'm not into the films. I've not seen the remake one, and I tried to watch the original one, and I think I just wasn't in the mood for it at the time. But I'm actually, you know what? If I see the first episode, if it's any good, I might watch it.
Yeah, I was a huge, massive fan of Let the Right One In. I didn't mind the American remake neither, Let Me In, because I thought that Cody Smith-McPhee was actually really good in the film, so was Chloe Grace Moretz, and it was quite well directed by Matt Reeves. It had similarities to the original movie, but it still felt slightly of its own thing. And so I'll be eager to watch a TV series of this. You know me with television anyway. I don't seem to watch very much TV these days.
Yeah.
I'm still eagerly awaiting for Penny Dreadful season 2 because I loved that one, and that's the only TV series new that I've actually stuck with. So I'm eager for that. But I'll actually give this a try. We'll see how it actually goes down. I've not seen a single episode of Teen Wolf, so I don't know what that is actually like.
I was going to watch it and I didn't bother, but I've seen things and I've heard good things about it, but it's, as far as I know, it's not very. It's only in concept very similar to the Michael J. Fox film. It is more of a serious kind of teen drama thing, but not played for laughs, and not. It's more of the whole werewolf thing being sort of played out more for the horror thing. So if they're doing it, it depends obviously the tone they decide to do this in, but obviously being a horror thing and being about the subject that it's about, this could be a good series.
Yeah, it looks very tween. Teen Wolf, so it's not my cup of tea anyway. Final piece of news is Disney have confirmed the release date for the Beauty and the Beast live-action film. The movie, being directed by Dreamgirls' Bill Condon, will be out on March the 17th, 2017. March the 7th, not very far off from the release date of Star Wars Episode 8. Brilliant schedule in there. Emma Thompson and Kevin Kline have joined the cast alongside Dan Stevens and Luke Evans.
Well, it's certainly getting a cast there, but so did Into the Woods.
Yeah, yeah. But come on, releasing it not very far off from Star Wars Episode 8.
Yeah,
I know a lot of films...
Very, very, very sort of courageous there.
I know a lot of films have to be released. They can't be running really scared from Star Wars. Unfortunately, well, for us anyway, Mission Impossible, which is still shooting, got its release date moved forward because the director was way too scared of Star Wars being released at Christmas, because they knew that they would have been absolutely obliterated by Star Wars at Christmas. And so, I honestly, Mission Impossible 5 is still yet to finish, and it's out in about 3-4 months' time.
Yeah. Wonder how many effects it'll need afterwards and everything.
Not a good sign, that is it?
Well, it could be. There have been films done a lot more up to the line than that.
Yeah, but not as big as this.
Well, I guess we'll see in a few months' time when it's actually released, and because I'll be seeing it. I like the Mission Impossible films. I like how they've actually gone from strength to strength as they've gone along, with the exception maybe the second one, which was a bit of a drop. But I will go and see that. So yeah, again, one that I'm more hyped for than Star Wars.
Oh well,
I don't know why. I'm just not hyped about it. I've seen it. I think I'm getting bored of J.J. Abrams.
I like J.J. Abrams, but we need slightly more fresh blood.
Yeah. So, moving on though to the next thing we have, which is the UK box office top 10. We're going to start at number 10 with, and for some reason I have lost the top 10 on my screen.
Genius. Yes.
It's Shaun the Sheep.
Yeah. The new top 10, by the way, will be up on the site, mondaymovieshow.co.uk, tomorrow, because we're doing this show on a Tuesday. We've got a more up-to-date version of the box office top 10. So, Shaun the Sheep, the movie, I really liked it. I love Aardman animation anyway, their claymation stuff. It's got a big, huge, massive charm to it, and so I think they got it right with Shaun the Sheep.
You know, I've actually seen this now.
Have you?
Yeah. You know what I thought?
Can I just ask a question first, though?
Okay.
Have you seen the movie at number 8?
Yes.
Oh, you have?
Yes, I have.
Okay, then. So what did you think of Shaun the Sheep, then?
I absolutely loved it. I was giggling all the way through. I was just there, and I loved it. They put so much so much character into the animation. So much, just the little things they did, and little character touches, and the sounds, and the behaviour, and I laughed and giggled all the way through without any problem. It reached the 6 laugh minimum requirement in about 30 seconds, and I just loved it. Not the best animated film I've ever seen, but certainly up there, and certainly amongst the most enjoyable.
Yeah, much better than a film that we're probably going to watch. We're reviewing next week, but it's just the fact that it is a silent film with just the little grunts and stuff like that. Yeah. Yet it flows so well. It fills the 88 minutes without padding. Yeah, it goes very stereotypical near to the end part because you've got a bad guy and you have to do something with that bad guy. But that's fine with the way the movies actually flows. So I thought it had loads of charm and really funny.
Lots of slapstick humour in it as well, which is quite funny too, and difficult to pull off on any kind of film, but to put it off on an animation, I imagine, is even more doubly so difficult.
Yep.
Number 9, dropping down slightly, is Kingsman: The Secret Service,
which I liked. I thought the middle part was the problematic bit of the film itself. I'm not bothered about the end and the way it's actually done. We've gone on about it a bit too much now. So the film's decent. It's done really good for itself as well. So well done to it, because there was a chance that this might have tanked a little bit, but it didn't actually do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice thing as well to see. It's this. It's these movies that have been made by Mackie Vaughan's company, and he does this thing of where he makes the film, but he gets it independently financed and then gets it distributed through the studios. And I think that works in his favour by giving him more control over the film when they're making it and such. But I think it doesn't work in his favour so much for the actual when it comes to distributing it, and something comes. Obviously, it comes out, and maybe he's done something which, having not had anyone there to say, we'll rein it in a little bit, you get this problem of, something happens in the film and people are uproared about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. At number 8 is the one I finally have seen as well, Big Hero 6.
And about time. I saw this movie quite a while ago and I was still waiting for you to see it. So instead of me harking on what I thought about the movie, your thoughts?
Okay. Well, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I did laugh at it a lot of the way through it. It didn't make me laugh though for quite a bit at the start. I have to say, it took a while before it started getting going, I think. And I thought it was really well done. I loved the animation in it. I like some of the characters and some of the ideas in it. I don't have as big a problem with it as you do about the whole superhero angle. I did find the more it went on, it got very predictable, which I found a bit sort of disappointing. But the one thing I found that I thought, as I was watching it, I was thinking, this film should be shown to all kids because it will help them to understand how to deal with grieving and loss without going, here's how you deal with grieving and loss. It will help them, it will help them get an idea of it. It will help them have that idea in their head of, this happens and this happens, then this is how you deal with it. And so for that effect, especially, I think it's a very important film.
Yeah, and you've got to laugh at Baymax. The fact that when he loses all the energy and he looks like he is drunk, and then he's got the cat and his hand and hairy baby, it's just that got me in the kinks.
It wasn't just that; it was his movements as well. See, the very opening bit, the first time he's opened up and he's stepping around the bed. And he's trying to crawl past this bed, and it's basically if you've not seen the trailer and you don't know, Baymax is a big inflated sort of balloon character.
He looks like a bit. It looks a bit like the Michelin tire.
Yeah. Well, he's about the size of the Michelin thing. You know, the size of a big sumo wrestler, basically, and trying to fit through the gap between a bed and a box of shelves, a cabinet of shelves, and he's squeezing past and knocking everything off it. And it's the way he does sort of sideways step thing, and his movements and everything were they put again like Shaun the Sheep, although not as much at the same level. A lot of character put in just by the animation and not without and no dialogue. I mean, obviously, Baymax has dialogue, but like Shaun the Sheep, a lot of the character was in there from just the animation without having the dialogue.
Yeah.
At number 7 is still Alice,
which I really, really liked. I thought was brilliantly acted by Julianne Moore. She definitely deserved the best actress. And I also thought that Kristen Stewart was fantastic in the movie. This is her best role that she's ever done. She even though, again, she still suffers from the few problems that I have always had with her in her films, she doesn't show emotion that much. She shows it in her voice and her mannerisms and the way she actually has interactions with her mother in the film, or when she is coming to terms with the debilitating illness that she's got in the form of Alzheimer's. And so it's touching at times. There are a few tiny little problems here and there, but because the acting is so well done by Julianne Moore and Kristen Stewart, you can sort of forgive some of the false steps.
I'm looking forward to seeing this, not just for Julianne Moore, but also because it does sound as if it's the one where Kristen Stewart has actually got her act together.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is Kristen Stewart. It's by far Kristen Stewart's best role. I've still yet to see Camp X-Ray because it still hasn't been released over here. And supposedly that is really good also with Kristen Stewart in it. She plays a really good character in that. So I'm slightly more eager now to watch that movie from her role in Still Alice.
Okay, Chappie is at number 6.
Neil Blomkamp's worst film, in my opinion. I would rank it as in 1, 2, and 3 the way he's actually created them. District 9's number 1, Elysium's number 2, and Chappie is number 3. It's not down to the fact that Deanne Vert could have been the ones to kill the movie. It's not down to that. It's not down to Dev Patel, because I think he's okay in the movie, or the really, 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 really short shorts that Hugh Jackman wears with the giant mullet, or even Sigourney Weaver. It's just the way the film flows. It just didn't have an identity. It wasn't sure what it wanted to be. Its identity wasn't sure what it was going to be, whether it be a kids' movie at times with Chappie being raised up and being very childish, or a very violent adult film with some of the gore in the movie and some of the action set pieces. So it was torn between two, and it never fell in the right area where it should have been able to bridge both gaps together. That was my biggest problem with the movie.
50 Shades of Grey is at number 5.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be, but it is still pretty bad.
New entry at number 4 for Sweet Francaise, which we were going to try and see this week, but it was down to me and just not had the time to not been able to see it. So unfortunately, we're not reviewing it this week. We would have been reviewing it in this show, but we're not. But it seems to be doing all right, going in at number 4 for a new release, considering that a lot of new releases this year have only been getting into the top 6 to 10, and this broke into number 5. So this is the drama film about set in a French village during World War II. Number 3 is Focus,
which I've not seen yet.
Yeah, Focus is an okay film. It is one of those ones that if you've seen a film called Confidence from some years ago that had Ed Burns in it, it's a very similar sort of story and idea. But this has some nice twists and some turns in it, and then also has some twists and turns that are not so nice and not so unpredictable. But it does have a solid performance from Will Smith at the core of it, which is worth seeing for. He is a good actor. He hasn't been in a lot of things for a while recently, and it's nice to see him back, but also doing a decent performance and not just doing the looking good action thing. He's actually going out and doing projects that are different. So it's worth seeing for that. But it's not an outstanding film by any methods. It's just it's good and okay. And number 2 is also a new entry this week for Run All Night, which we'll be reviewing in just a moment. Which means that number 1 movie again is the second best exotic Marigold Hotel.
Still taking just under £1.5 million on its third week of release. It's probably down to the audience that it's aimed at. It's aimed at the audience that are above the age of 40. The proof in the factor was that I was the youngest person in the screening that I went to, and I'm 34, so that does say what the film is actually aimed at. It's done brilliantly for itself, both over here and in the US as well. It's problematic in the fact that it feels more like a TV movie because it has so many story strands. You could have easily stretched out each one of the story strands and made it an episode, a 40-minute episode, and you could have had a 6-7 episode season. So it would have suited much more that way. I wouldn't be surprised if in the future, instead of them tackling a third film, they decide to go down the route of making it into a TV series, because there are areas of both the first and second film where they can explore and stretch it out more so in a TV environment. So it's got a very TV feel, but it's got charm, it's got nuances, and everyone does their part in the movie.
I still haven't seen it, so I can't comment on it. Believe it or not, it's another one I haven't seen. I want to see it, but it's just a thing of that there's too many things going on at the moment, so it's probably going to fall by the wayside, unfortunately, until it comes out on DVD for me.
Yep.
So that's it for the UK Box Office Top 10. Let's go straight on to our first of our 2 cinema releases, which is Run All Night, as I said there in the top 10. This is the movie directed by Wamkole Sarah, I think is the right way. I'm not going to try again. It is the latest Liam Neeson starring sort of action thriller, which centers around, you have his character of Jimmy Conlon, who is a man who is he's an ex hitman that used to work for the mob, in particular for a friend of his who is the sort of the head of the mob, played by Ed Harris. The two of them are sort of friends and grow up. You see early on Liam Neeson's character is a bit of a drunkard. He's kind of fallen into sort of the old man who's just there as Ed Harris's friend rather than as an employee anymore. The thing's also going on the fact of that both men have a son who are going about doing their own things. Ed Harris's son, played by Boyd Holbrook, is going around sort of being his sort of dad's second in command, and always trying to bring in new things. In amongst included those things is a drug deal with some particularly sort of unsavoury characters, whereas Liam Neeson's son, played by Joel Kinnaman, is not associated with his life at all. He's going straight, has a wife and 2 kids. He is a limo driver who ends up ultimately seeing Ed Harris's son killing the drug dealers and goes on the run from him, during which shootout incurs. He is trying to kill Liam Neeson's son, and Liam Neeson turns up and kills him in defence, ultimately letting Ed Harris's character know that he killed him, who then decides, okay, that's it, this is going to be a blood vendetta. Here's a clip.
I'm here asking for my son's life, Sean. I pulled the trigger. I killed Annie. You want to send someone for me? Tell me when. I'll keep the door open. I'll put my gun on the table. Michael, he's a good kid. He's got a family. He don't deserve this.
I'm the only one ever cared about you. And all of that ended an hour ago when you killed my son. I'm coming after your boy with everything I got.
I won't let you take him, Sean.
You got no choice. And when it's done, and it will be done, you and I are gonna meet back here at this restaurant, at this same table that I used to share with my boy, and I'm gonna look you in the eyes just like you look at me in the eyes right now. And I'm gonna see how empty they are without your son in the world. Same thing I saw in my wife's eyes. Same thing you're seeing in my eyes. And when I see that, then I'll let you die.
So, here's the thing with run all night. It is one of these revenge thrillers, but it is set around the whole thing of all being sort of set in one night. You have this whole thing of it's basically Liam Neeson B-movie season. That's what it is. Because it's him doing the same kind of role thing that there is before. There's the whole thing of that he's a drunk in it. There's, that's what we saw from Non-Stop. There's a thing of that he's not necessarily connected with his family. Him and his son don't talk, have no connections, don't see each other. And then he turns up and, that happens. And it's then the two of them having to sort of figure it out, and he's trying to stop him from becoming him. He's trying to stop his son from killing someone and becoming like him. There's also this thing of that you've got a character played by Vincent D'Onofrio is there playing a detective who is kind of after Liam Neeson's character because he knows that he's a hitman but can't prove it, and he's going on about I'll help you, but I want you to tell me all the people you killed. And so there's that sort of angle going on about as well, and it's the whole thing of you saying earlier on in the box office about films that you have that it wasn't the box office. We're talking about reviews about in the news about directors and films that just seem to have nothing new to them at all. This is basically one of those films. It's got stuff in it. You just go, oh, I recognise that from that film. Take this bit from that film. Put this bit in there. Have him do this. Make him a drunk. Make him not have any sort of connection with his son. Make him have this happen to him, and make this do this. And you just basically go, yep, ticking the boxes, and that's it. Even Ed Harris isn't enough to make it raise it above a level. Which Ed Harris is a fantastic actor, and he's good in this. He's just not given a lot to do, and it's just disappointing that this is where Liam Neeson's career is heading. He is going to end up being Steven Seagal and going straight to video in the future. It's not quite there yet, but it's getting there.
See, I'm bored of Liam Neeson. I don't feel like now he's got himself so much in an area where he's very safe with what he's doing. I don't think now he's got the testicles to try something different, because he knows that these movies are going to do pretty decent, if not brilliant. They're going to get box office takings where they're very middling, and they might make their money back. He's going to feel very safe and secure in his movies, and I hope he's going to prove me wrong and try something different. It's just the problem I have with him is that they're just exactly the same film.
It basically is. I mean, the thing about it is that there's scenes in it which you're literally going, okay, he's on the phone again talking to someone, and he's making idle threats, and you're kind of like, yeah, well, okay, that's taken. I mean, the one thing I would say about it is it's rated 15, so it's taken 1 more than it is taken 2 and 3. But I mean, the thing is, I mean, the other film that we had with him, Walk Among the Tombstones, recently, which you absolutely hated.
Yes,
I didn't dislike it as much as you did. I thought it was again this typical kind of B movie thing. But I will say this is better than that. This is better than Walk Among the Tombstones, but not by much.
It's just because he stung me in the past so many times that I can't be bothered with him anymore, to be honest, because it feels like I'm paying to watch exactly the same movie over and over again, and I'm sick of that. I've seen the Taken series, and they bore the hell out of me. They've got no originality in them whatsoever. And when you've got somebody going up alongside Liam Neeson in the form of Ed Harris, you might think, this might actually be a dark film. It might actually bring back Liam Neeson to his best, but by the sounds of it, that's still not the case.
They need to cast him like a Marvel film or something. Do something different.
He needs to take time off and think about how his career is actually going. I know it's easy for us to criticise directors and actors and things like that, even though that we wouldn't be able to do it if we were in their shoes. We wouldn't be able to do these action movies. We wouldn't be able to write them or direct them, etc. But the whole reason why we do a review show is to look at the films and review them and give our thoughts on them. So I understand it from that point of view, but if you're playing it safe so many times, if we did that in a job, we would be bored out of our skulls.
Mm.
So
yeah, I mean, it's a little bit sad, really. Not sad as in uncool, sad as in depressing.
It's like going to visit a puppy and its trick is doing a backflip. Yet you go to see it the next day and its trick is to do a backflip. And every single time you go to visit, its trick is to do one backflip. And so it's doing exactly the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
and you just want to teach it something else. So I'm saying that Liam Neeson is a bad doggy. Completely different movie then.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if Liam Neeson would ever attempt a film like this. It's X and Y, or X plus Y. Considering that it's a mathematical drama, it's X plus Y. It's directed by Morgan Matthews, and it stars, well, in Nathan's older form, because Nathan is the lead character in the movie, Asa Butterfield, who was in Ender's Game, which I really actually liked, and I think Asa Butterfield is a really good actor. He was in the brilliant Hugo as well. And so in this, like I said, he plays Nathan. At the start of the film, he's young, he's very shy at school, he doesn't have very many friends at all, he will not interact with people. But the one thing that he seems to be attached to, the one thing that he seems to be interested in is maths. And there's a teacher played by Rafe Spall who plays Humphreys who sees this. Sees the fact that Nathan will not interact with the other children, not do what other children do. And so he sees the fact that he likes mathematics. So he takes him under his wing, helps him out, trains him, and he becomes really addicted to maths. And so fast forward to when Nathan is much older and he's still extremely interested in the subject. He's now really, really good at it, highly good at it. He can do all this Pythagoras' theorems and remember them, hundreds and hundreds of numbers off them, and put together really harsh and really difficult equations that would make anybody crack under pressure. And so Humphrey sees this in him and decides to introduce him to a group of people where he can take part in sort of like the Mathematic Olympics in Beijing, where he could actually win this for the UK. And so he puts him under the tutelage of Eddie Marson's character Richard, and so he jets off to Asia while Humphrey sort of like hits it off more so with Nathan's mother, who's played by Sally Hawkins, who plays Julia in this one. So they're establishing a relationship back in England, while Nathan is sort of like coming out of his shell and meets a girl who's played by Jo Yang, who plays Zhang, and she's really interested in maths and finds out they have so much in common as well. And so the movie itself just follows Nathan as he comes out of his shell to try and win this Olympics of mathematics, while his mother is trying sort of like come out of her shell and start a proper relationship with somebody who she might think that she's going to latch onto herself. Now, we don't have a clip because it's a British movie, and so there isn't any clips out there. There was one out there, but it's 4.5 minutes long. And so we would be here for a while if we decide to play that clip. The thing with X plus Y is, as soon as you see the word mathematics in a description of a movie, it will put a lot of people off. Because if you look at films like Pi and Primer and Fermat's Room and things like that, you sort of like lose interest when mathematics gets added to a subject. Even Cube, even Vincenzo Natali's Cube, because it has got elements of maths interleaved in it, because that's the only way they're going to find their way out of the cube. However, as with each one of those movies that I've just mentioned, you need to actually watch the film, because it's much more interesting and much more in-depth than you might expect. This is brilliantly acted by everybody. There isn't a weak part in the movie at all. Asa Butterfield is 3 for 3. With Hugo, with Ender's Game, and with this. He's 3 for 3 in my eyes. He's a brilliant actor, and I've got a feeling that he's going to win the Rising Star Award next year. He's going to come to the forefront more so, and he needs to do that. Sally Hawkins, any film that she's in, you just know that she's going to bring something to her character, some kind of nuance, some depth, some warmth to her character, and she does that with this. Rafe Spall also, he's a brilliant British actor, and he's fantastic in this again. So is Eddie Marson, and I'm not saying Jo Yang in anything, but she's really good as Zhang as well. So it's brilliantly well acted. It's lovely shot. It's very, you can sort of like see yourself in Nathan. It reminds you of when you were in school, especially myself, because I was like him. I loved mathematics, and I could see in the fact that I was a bit of a recluse, and I was always looking on from the outside at everybody playing and being joyful and jumping around and thinking to myself, I don't want to be part of this, but I might have to be. And so I could see myself in Nathan. And when you can do that with a film, then it's going to resonate with you. So I thought X and Y was fantastic, and I implore people to go see it.
So does it work in the same way that, because from what you're describing there, I'm reminded of Margin Call, where Margin Call's the thing about obviously stocks and everything, and the Wall Street and that collapsing, financial destruction basically from that. But it was never about, the film itself was never about the stocks and the shares and everything. It was always about the characters and the people and how they reacted to it, and it was told off of them and their performances. Is this the same with Maths?
Yeah, it's normally the case. Some of these, like I said at the start of the review, some of these films where it has a subject where you won't be interested in. It puts you off when you actually see it in the description of the movie, yet when you watch the film, you say to yourself, I'm glad I watched that. This is one of those kind of films. Just because it's got mathematics in it doesn't mean that you're going to be so baffled you're not going to be able to follow the film at all. It's down to how the actors latch on to their characters and how they embrace their characters. And each one of the actors fully embraces the characters. And so you're just watching the film, and by the time it's finished, you say to yourself, I'm glad I saw that.
Okay, so that's it for this week's rather shortened cinema section. As we said, there was also Sweet Francaise released this week, but we weren't able to see that. It's gone into the top 10. Have a look at it, see what you think. Let us know. We'll maybe comment on it next week's show if it's still in the top 10. But that's it for this part of the show. We're going to have a break, after which we're back with this week's DVD and Blu Ray top 10.
From page to screen. So they have 9 times out of 10 they have to send it back to you unopened or just throw it in the garbage can.
Things don't always look exactly as we envision our life to look, but sometimes it works out and turns out even better.
Gregor Fisher, his bacon number is 2 because he was appeared with January Jones in Love Actually, and January Jones and Kevin Bacon appeared in X-Men First Class together.
I've got to say, the very Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas, now that just makes me want to rush out.
It's about the acting and about the writing. That's really what theatre is for me.
Probably had more names than Prince or whatever. Never mind, there's a joke for the oldies. It'd be like, who's Prince? Who's he? I'd just like to see Mr. Freeze hiring his bad guys going, right, okay, so you're a psycho, right, can you ice skate? Head over to iTunes, Spreaker and Stitcher and put in the search box From Page to Screen.
Welcome back to this week's Monday Movie Show. We're now into the home release section of the show where we're looking at these films.
We have the latest in the Hunger Games franchise. I couldn't think of the name of it there. With Mockingjay Part 1. We also have the... what is it with me and things tonight? I'm absolutely struggling. I really apologise for this, but my complete brain's just gone. Horns is the one with Daniel Radcliffe. That's what I couldn't think of. We have a weird sort of science fiction horror with Extraterrestrial. We have weird sort of science fiction time travel drama with Continuum. And then we have even more horror with Starry Eyes and The Remaining.
Yep, and we have our TV movie of the week and our movie of the week. But let's start things off as we normally do with the DVD top 10. The DVD and Blu Ray top 10. So number 10 is Game of Thrones Series 4.
Yeah, which is Game of Thrones TV series. I mean, we don't really go for this, but I would say Game of Thrones, if you like sort of your epics, sword and sandals sort of thing, then you might want to check it out. Otherwise, you might not, because you got bored of it, didn't you?
You're very bored of it, to be honest. Season 5 starts soon, and there's trailers already out there for Season 5. And number 9 is Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, this is the original Disney animation, which is the whole thing of the Disney's buy one get one free thing is on again. It's beautifully animated. It is amongst their best classic 2D animations. And I mean, a lot of people have it because of the fact now it's on Blu Ray, so it's got the really nice cleaned up transfer. I'm not one of the people who has it. I mean, I don't really love a lot of them ones like that, but it's definitely one to see. If you've never seen it, it's definitely one to have a look at because it's actually quite a beautiful musical animation as well.
And it was the first animated film to be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. So it definitely deserves that plaudit. So
it is, yeah. But the film number 8, I would say, maybe deserves that more.
Yeah, which is The Lion King.
Yeah, which I love that more than I do Beauty and the Beast because it was just a film that I was so taken back with, and it's visually so stunning, and the animation is great. The choice of music at certain points in the way it's done, and the voice casting in it is brilliant. And you've also got the whole thing of I found that the supporting characters of Timon and Pumbaa were a lot more fun than the supporting characters of things like the tea set and things like that in Beauty and the Beast.
No, I really liked Lumiere, which was the candle. I thought he was actually really good. I'm a big fan of both of them. I'm a sucker for Beauty and the Beast. It is one of my when you mention it to people, it's sort of like one of my slight guilty pleasures. The other one, do I dare mention it?
Yeah, go on then. It's going to be a Studio Ghibli.
No, Sister Act.
Oh, okay.
Sister Act is one of my other guilty pleasures. It is one of the films that I've seen quite a few times, and I think it's just because I was a big fan of Whoopi Goldberg back then. I think she's got some really good comic timing, so I quite like Sister Act. And so I'll move on to number 7, The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I am looking forward to seeing the second one. But from what I understand, it's very similar, the two of them in time, sort of thing. Which, I mean, that's kind of thing that happen with a film that's a sequel. You get the similar kind of thing. But it is a film that's definitely aimed at an older audience, so younger viewers may not find it entertaining and may get bored with it. But I thought it was a very good drama, and it's got a great cast in there of well-known actors that are all. None of them is dropping the hat. They're all given a great performance. Yeah, number 6 is New Entry for Ouija,
which I haven't seen.
Which you don't want to see because it's absolute garbage. It is that honestly, taking a board game and making it into a film is a really difficult thing to do. Not like a board game that properly exists. Not something like Jumanji, where it features a board game, and so taking a board game and doing that is a hard thing to do, especially 'cause you look at Battleship. And they're going to attempt it with Hungry Hippos as well, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do it with Kaplunk or anything like that at all. But yeah, Ouija is really badly misjudged. It breaks the rules in the first 2 minutes of the film and never recovers from the problem. So it's really, really bad. At number 5 is a new entry for 71.
Which I really liked. I thought it was a great film for Jack O'Connell, who seems to have done an amazing thing of had three films out this last year that have just done fantastic for him. I apologise, there was an alarm going off in the distance. There is a great thing of it that it's got a lot of the film is not sort of dialogue centric, it's action centric, but it's not boring any time. It's actually quite sort of, it gets your heart pounding.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that Jack O'Connell got slightly too much praise for the film. I think because he doesn't do very much in the movie at all. I think he got slightly a bit too much praise for the film. Number 4 is Mr. Turner,
which I really liked, but not as much. You didn't like it really at all. I mean, I can see where you're coming from. It's a film that's 2.5 hours long, and it's about a character or about a real person, but it's the thing of that it doesn't really know where it's focusing on, whether it's focusing on the character of Mr. Turner or the character of Mr. Turner, the artist, or the art. It doesn't really know what to do with it. But I liked it. I thought it's a great performance from Timothy Spall, which definitely stands out amongst everything else in it. But it's not a great film, but it's a good film.
No, I thought the film was 2.5 hours of boredom. His life wasn't interesting enough at all to sustain a movie that long, let alone a movie that's 90 minutes. It just sees him grunting and groaning and snorting, and some of the stuff is quite uncomfortable to watch. There's a couple of scenes where I'm not describing it at all, but it is really uncomfortable. The most uncomfortable I've been in a film for quite a while, considering that I watch really gruesome, nasty horror films, and there is a movie that I've got to watch for another show that I do where it probably is going to be nasty, but not as cringeworthy as some of the scenes in Mr. Turner.
Okay.
And number 3 is Fury,
which is another one. It's a film that it has this kind of, when it gets it right, it gets it right, but when it gets it wrong, it gets it so wrong, it really takes you out of the film. There's scenes in this where there's the characters all together, sort of what this director David Ayer does. He puts all these sort of group of actors in a kind of like a team buddy thing, and puts them all together, and they work fine in that element. when they take them out of that, and this is the base, basically the bits when they're in the tank, they're brilliant. When they take them out of the tank, then it starts to fall to pieces, and so do they, and it doesn't work. But I really liked it for those scenes in the tank. I liked the action scenes, which I thought were very nicely handled as well. Not you didn't agree on that, but we both agree. Any of the other scenes where they're out of the tanks, especially a scene where they're in a village and they're sitting down to have something to eat, completely just ruin it.
Yeah, I think the film is just too clean cut, for my opinion. So it's just it's a problem I'm seeing with David Ayer's movies now. He's lost the grit that he had with End of Watch, and it's a shame because he showed potential with that.
Well, before that, the thing is, I like that he did the film Street Kings before that, which a lot of people didn't really like, but it's a Keanu Reeves one. For that reason, a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was very good. And also, he wrote Training Day, so he is a good talent, but I think he has just, especially Sabotage, didn't do him any favours.
Yeah, Sabotage is terrible. This is not as bad as Sabotage, because I thought Sabotage was a major misstep of a movie. But it's very average. And number 2 is a new entry for the 100-Foot Journey.
Similar to the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, and then it is more for an adult older audience, but still will play to a younger audience as well. And I found it really great, really good drama, and it's a thing that's all about the characters. Not so great performance from Helen Mirren. She's fine in it, but she could have been better since she's playing a French character. It doesn't really seem as if she's really French in it, but I really found it fun, enjoyed it, and it's a sweet film, and it will make you hungry when you're watching it because it's focusing a lot of it on cooking.
And like I said, horror movies make me hungry while I watch them, so I'm probably going to be starving by the time while I'm watching this movie. I'm going to have a banquet beside me. So but I'm just strange anyway. And
I'm interested to see what you think of this film, because it's not your typical kind of fare, but I think you would love it.
Well, considering how many films that I've written down for next week's show, the potential about how many movies that we're going to be reviewing next week, I doubt I'll have very much time. I mean, number 1 is a new entry for The Imitation Game,
which is a brilliant performance from Benedict Cumberbatch film, but the film, as good as it is, wouldn't be as good without his performance. He is kind of the linchpin in it. It's a good performance from also Keira Knightley, it's worth saying as well, and it's a great drama, but it just feels as if it's missing something and it's not all there. And also the fact that it's the thing of that you're interested in this character of Alan Turing, and it starts off showing you him when he was younger in flashbacks, and you find out more about his past that shows how he is that present day when it's set, that affect him. But you don't learn so much about him. As it should be more about him, I think, and less about the actual whole thing of breaking Enigma, which is good, but I would have liked to have seen it more on the character and not on that sort of period.
No, I can sort of see where you're coming from. Each element of his life is very well acted, so no matter which actor takes his roles in when he's young and he's older, it's still the younger version of him. It is really well done. So it's a good film from that point of view, and it will teach you a few little bits and bobs that you didn't know about the Enigma code and how it was cracked. Because you know that it was cracked, but you didn't know about his life, and so that much, because there was a lot of it that wasn't revealed up until a few years ago, considering what his kind had to go through during that period of time. So that's interesting to see in his life, and it's not as bad as some of the films that we've seen where it is based on somebody's life. For example, Hitchcock, which was just based on one of his films and not him, even though the film was called Hitchcock and not Psycho. So it's just, that was just slightly strange on that front. So I do like the film. I thought the film was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I enjoyed it. I don't think it's a bad film. I think it's a very well done film. But it's a film that I think if you didn't have Benedict Cumberbatch's performance there at the centre of it, it wouldn't be as good. It's very similar to Eddie Redmayne's performance with Theory of Everything, which is a good film again, but not as good if you didn't have him in that central role.
Yeah. Right, first review of the night is Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. So as you can tell, it's Part 1 of a two-parter, because the second part is out at the end of this year. It follows Jennifer Lawrence's character of Katniss Everdeen after the turmoil and destruction that she's managed to do in the previous 2 Hunger Games films. She's had to flee to supposedly the destroyed District 13, which is under rule by I forgot her character's name now. President Alma Coyne. Yeah, played by Julianne Moore. I've got so many actors in this film. I've got a huge, massive list of them down, so I should have put them in alphabetical order, so it would have been easier for me to find.
It's just typical that you have the first time get to a film that you're reviewing that you don't know the name of, and I know it.
Yeah, it's rare that happens. Rub it in, I would. So,
no, because early on I couldn't think of people's names.
So District 13 is under the leadership of President Coyne, who's played by Julianne Moore, and Katniss is distraught. She is a destroyed, fractured, fragile character, and she is like that through the entirety of the movie, because now the Hunger Games part of it, the games part, is no longer the main element of it. It's all about the political side of things and how what side people should actually go with. And so with District 13, they're using Katniss Everdeen as their symbol, as the Mockingjay, to prove that what's happening in the capital, who's run by Donald Sutherland's character as President Snow, everything that he's now doing and saying, or what he has been saying and what he has been doing, has been completely wrong. And so Katniss is, like I said, she is distraught, etc. And she some footage gets put onto the television and across each one of the districts with her thinking that her opposite side of her, Josh Hutcherson's character who plays Peter, who's been with her all throughout the 2 movies, is gone. But she sees him aligning with President Snow, and he is sort of like the symbol of the capital, and he's saying that people need to listen to the capital. And so you've got the political side of the movie with all of that stuff happening and who should side with us, but you've also got tiny little humour elements into the movie, and obviously one of the characters who provides that humour is Effie, who's played by Elizabeth Banks. And here's a clip which is one of the lighter sides of the film, rather than us play a clip of the darkness of the movie.
Let's everybody think of one incident where Katniss Everdeen genuinely moved you.
When she volunteered for her sister at the reaping.
Excellent example. Okay. Now, I hope that wasn't important. Okay, volunteer forces. Good. What else?
Oh, when she sang that song for Little Rue.
Oh, yeah. We didn't get choked up at that.
Mm.
You know, I like you better, Effie, without all that makeup.
Oh, I like you better sober.
And so Katniss also wants them to help her try to recapture Peter and bring him back to them. And like I said, you do have little action set pieces also, because it needs to have that part of the movie where it is the factions battling against each other. It is ultimately a stepping stone up to Mockingjay Part 2. This is a movie where it's setting up Part 2, exactly what the last 2 parts of the Harry Potter franchise did. The first part of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was setting up what was going to happen in Part 2. And so in Part 2, you got the big, huge, massive set pieces, the big action scenes, and that's probably how the Hunger Games series is going to end. From a lot of people's standpoint of view, the final book in the series was the weakest book. And so splitting the weakest element of the series into 2 sort of like gives you an indication of how the series might actually go. And I'm hoping that's not the case, because with Mockingjay Part 1, it is very pulled back from what you've seen before. It doesn't have very much in correlation with the other ones, because it is all about the political standpoint of view. It is all about the using of 2 figures, in the fact that Katniss is the Mockingjay. She is the one who's part of the rebellion, who wants to try and get people to realise the capital is evil, yet Peter might have his strings pulled by President Snow and people in the capital to say, oh, we're not as evil as you might think, yet we bring the structure that is needed to stop society from crumbling, even though you can see society crumble during the movie itself. And so people who are expecting the big spectacle of the previous 2 Hunger Games films are going to feel a bit dismayed by Mockingjay Part 1. If you look at it slightly different and take yourself back from the first two films, then you'll see the reason why they did this. Because it has become a bit more of an interesting film. I thought the film was very average when I saw it at the cinema. The second viewing of it, you sort of get why they did it this way, and so I enjoyed it more so the second time. The acting by Jennifer Lawrence is really good, even though she does become a bit whiny during the movie. She's still really good as Katniss. And I find a problem in the fact that they use a few set pieces a couple of times in the movie and repeat it, but change a few little things about them. And so there's a few settings where they set a couple of action set pieces in exactly the same spot. So I could have felt like they could have used more of a few of the other districts to be able to do that. But it's still a really interesting movie. I love Effie as a character. I think Elizabeth Banks needs to be used a lot more. I didn't like her character in the first film. I grew attached to her in the second film. I love her in this movie because she's stripped back, she's bare. And that she's the character who fully explains the series. Because she's brash and over the top in the first one. That's what the first film's like. She's slightly reeled back. She understands what's going on. She realizes that the capital could be evil. And that's what the second film's like. And now she fully understands what's going on. She's lost all of her colour. She's lost all of her garishness. And it is all about sort of like the darkness and turmoil. That's what a character's like in the third film. So I think she's the emblem of the series rather than Katniss.
I agree that this is better on a second watch because I was kind of not into it so much first time. I was expecting it to be a very different film than the other two, because basically the way I view it is like the first two films were kind of battle royale, but this one is a lot more wag the dog. And if you don't know what wag the dog is, you need to go and look and find out what it is. Basically, wag the dog is about media manipulation of events and the media being used to manipulate the public opinion of things, and that's what this basically is. The third film is basically about PR and PR campaign and PR manipulation of a war, and I'm fine with that because it means it's not just doing the same things, it's actually trying to do something different. And at first it does appear when you're first watching it, you're going, no, this isn't really Hunger Games anymore, but it is. It's just it's a different view, and it's a different part of it. It's all set in the same world. It's what it's kind of it's more saying what was wrong with the world that created the Hunger Games. In a world where the Hunger Games can exist, this is what's wrong with the world. This is how it should be, and I think I think it's a nice way to change it instead of just going, oh, more Hunger Games, more Hunger Games, more Hunger Games until it becomes boring and you lose interest in it because it's just more of the same. So it's nice to see it do differently. I do think that it's all going to hinge on whether or not Mockingjay Part 2 works and is pulled off, because if that's terrible then this is just going to feel completely empty and wasted. But I would say that I think that this has got more of a chance that the second part will be good, and it will only help this to actually be even better than it is, because it's a good film. It feels a bit underwhelming, and it is the shortest so far. It's short by a good 20 minutes difference than the other films, but it's okay. I'm just looking forward to being able to watch Mockingjay Parts 1 and 2 together to be able to then say, yeah, okay, as a whole it's better.
Yeah, I think it really does need to hinge on Mockingjay Part 2. Mockingjay Part 2 needs to be strong, because then you can put it together and it will fit perfectly like a jigsaw puzzle. So I guess a lot of cinemas will do the Part 1 and Part 2 together. When Part 2 is released, they will show them back to back.
They'll be having a special, Hunger Games, the entire lot. They'll be doing those kind of things.
They need to do that, and I don't normally go to films like this, but I think I probably would for this series, because I think this, out of any of the films that I've seen in quite a while, that they have split the last film in two, I think this one will work the best. So I think I might actually go see Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 and go and see Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 together.
Okay, so Horns, which is based on a novel by Joe Hill, directed by Alexandra Arja. It is the movie that stars Daniel Radcliffe as Ig, a guy who we don't know exactly the details of it. We learned that early on that he has been seeing a girl who has now been found dead and killed in the forest. He is sort of, everyone has decided, you know, he's the one who did it. He is basically guilty by sort of association, not everything proved, showing that he killed her. She's still sort of yet to be proven as to how and why and who did it. But the town, everyone that he lives within the town has already decided he's the one that does it. And it seems as if it's kind of a foregone conclusion that he's going to be arrested, this is going to happen. But then the weird thing starts happening of that he wakes up one morning after having sort of been very drunk the night before and finds that he started to then get horns growing from his forehead in a very sort of demonic style. He then starts going sort of around and trying to figure out exactly what's going on, while also at the same time trying to figure out who did kill his girlfriend, and finding out that his horns have this weird kind of effect in bringing out not necessarily the best intentions of everyone that he speaks to. Here's a clip.
Get away from me.
No.
Leave me alone.
No. I'm not here to hurt you. Please, tell me what I have to do to stop this. How do I make them go away?
Look, you killed that innocent girl, Marin. There's nothing I can do.
No, except I didn't kill her.
Leave me alone.
I didn't kill her father, and now people are telling me all these things I don't want to hear. I mean, there must be a prayer you could say. I'll try anything.
You did this to yourself.
What?
You turned away from God, and you cast yourself into the darkness.
But I didn't do anything wrong.
Every devil used to be an angel, and now you've fallen from grace forever. When Satan was banished from heaven, he was cursed to crawl the earth like a snake. There's no hope for you.
What? So that's it? There's nothing you can do for me?
I've got a rope in that shed over there. I could take you out to that tree where Marin died, and I could string you up.
So here's the thing with horns. We were just talking about this during that clip of this is a film that there's films that we see where we have very rarely the same opinion. There's films we have very disparaging opposite reviews, basically opposite view. Yeah. And then there's films where we kind of agree a bit, and we're very sort of we're in the middle a bit, and we're both a bit sort of in the middle of our opinions. Because you really, really liked it. I thought it was okay. I loved it. I liked some bits of it. The problem I have is that when you're watching it, you get to a certain point for me, and it just went so out there that it kind of lost me. It went a bit too far. It really went off the deep end at a certain point, and I was kind of like, you know, I actually kind of sat there and I was like, ooh, you know, slow down, a little bit of restraint, and I found that a bit off-putting as a thing. So I think that this is a nicely handled. I think it's very well directed. I would say that. I think it's nicely written as well, and Daniel Radcliffe is really, really good in it. Juno Temple's good in it as well, in a small role, because she's playing his girlfriend who's been killed, so you only really see her in flashback. Max Minghella is in the film as well, in a role which I think is good, but very kind of underplayed, and I just felt that it could have been more done with that. But it's all round a good film. It is a very nicely done film. I just think that the story and elements and things that happen in it just kind of let it down by going a bit too far. But I wouldn't let it put you off. If you're interested in it and you've seen trailers and that and you like the look of it, then by all means check it out. I don't think you'll be bored. I don't think you'll be put off by it. I think though at the end of it you might be a bit, okay, that was a bit more than I was expecting, but okay.
And I think you won't, because I loved the off-the-wall, complete insanity of the movie. I think it worked really well with this. I thought it was Daniel Radcliffe again, showing that he's lost the Harry Potter persona, and he's now become this interesting actor. It's what Alexander Aja does with these actors. Look what he did with Elijah Wood in Maniac. Now, Maniac, critics didn't like that film at all, but I thought it was a very well put together film, because Elijah Wood was horrible in that movie, very nasty, and I really liked that film. And I think he does exactly the same with Daniel Radcliffe in the film. You feel sorry for him and you want to follow the plight that he has to go through to try and prove to people that he did not kill his girlfriend. Yet you've got this twisted thing which he latches onto, which he uses for his own way of to try and find out the truth and try to prove people that their lives are sucky, and he just needs to inject something into it. And the more insane the movie gets, the more I started to love it, and the more I enjoyed it, and the more I was thinking to myself, this is the kind of film that I needed. after watching so many dramas, after watching so many downbeat movies, I wanted a movie where there is downbeat elements to it, but it treats itself with a lot of fun. And that's what this film is. It's just a lot of fun with some interesting elements to it. I really liked Horns.
I think that for me, you saying about need to inject something more into it there makes me think that I think actually I would have liked it more if there had been, because I know there is some in there, but I would think I would have liked it more if there had been a lot more of the darkly comic humour, because there's points in it where it does this, but it's kind of like it goes into it. It does, let's do some comic horror now because otherwise it's going to be too serious, too much, and it feels as if it's just there to serve purpose. It doesn't feel as if it's the tone of the film. I think if there'd been more sort of spread out dark humour throughout it, I might have enjoyed it more.
No, there is one scene which fully epitomises the entirety of the film, and it involves the two police officers.
Yeah.
And when Daniel Radcliffe's character has persuaded the two police officers to do what they do, even he's disgusted by it, and he just you don't see very much after that. He just turns away and walks off, and you follow Daniel Radcliffe's character, and that's the director just going, yes, this is the line, I am not going to cross it, but this is what could have happened, and so we're just going to go back to having a bit more fun. So I really liked Horns. Right, next up, Extraterrestrial. Now, when me and I hope Andrew does this as well, when before we do the show or whatever, we collate some notes together, so we can easily remember the directors' names, the actors' names, and plot points and things like that to do with the film. Yeah. This is what I actually wrote down for Extraterrestrial. A group of friends on a weekend trip to a cabin in the woods finds themselves terrorized by alien visitors. That fully sums up the entirety of the... That's it, yep. It fully sums up the entirety of the film. It is a group of people go to a cabin in the woods, they enjoy themselves, all of a sudden a big bright light comes out from the sky and they get terrorized by alien visitors. I don't know how much more I can add to it. That honestly is the film itself. We've got no clip for it. It's directed by the Vicious Brothers. And... the film, while it has a few little bits and bobs which are fine, the film itself is just silly. It involves also one of the most ridiculous endings possible in any horror movie that I've seen in a very long time, because this is the supposed found footage genre. This is the shaky cam footage, and it involves you can see the clip on YouTube, and it starts off from this clip. It involves an anal probe that doesn't involve the anal area, which is interesting. It involves the stomach. And so you can watch the clip on YouTube of that. We could have played that clip, but there would just been a lot of screaming and lots of lasers. That's when it's on the alien ship. And now, honestly, all I'll just say it involves a camera, and it involves a camera that falls so far that it doesn't break, that you just think to yourself, really? And that epitomizes the entirety of the movie. The movie just becomes a big, massive, really... huge, massive exclamation marks and huge, massive neon lights, and it's just a really kind of film. Don't watch it. Don't watch it.
So, believe it or not, that is not the bargain basement section of the show this week. It doesn't bode well for those. Okay, I'll go on to the latest movie to start the young kid from Sixth Sense, Haley
Joel Osment.
Yeah, the kid from Sixth Sense.
The one who looks like he's eaten himself multiple times.
It stars in Continuum, which is a movie written and directed by Richie Mehta. It is and this isn't spoiling it because it's early on, basically explains, it is a time travel drama. It is a film about, he plays a character who, years earlier, his father sort of walked out and left them, disappeared. His mother, played by Gillian Anderson, has not sort of dealt with that well, and eventually leads up to a certain point where she's just kind of at home and just kind of broken down. He's at college. He's doing sort of things in a course along with his grandfather, played by Victor Garber, and starts sort of investigating things as well. Finds out that there is a possibility that a man who was found and killed in the 1930s actually was his father, and that some of the sort of devices and things that he's found belonging to his father may have actually led to a time machine being created which sent his father back in time and ended up his father being mugged and killed instead of returning home. He decides then what I'm going to do is see about trying to get this sorted out and fix this, so I can go back and stop him being killed, so he can return back and come back to the family as a young when his character was young. Things are sort of complicated over the fact that obviously he's living his own life, including his relationship with his girlfriend, who is recently just found out that she is pregnant, and also then starts to realise that if he's going to do this, it could potentially make things all different and result in things not working out as they have. Here's a clip.
Hey.
Hi.
What are you doing here?
What are you working on?
An experiment, actually. It's kind of volatile.
Does it have something to do with traveling through a wormhole into the past?
Victim suffered a gunshot wound. Carried no identification. Brands of clothing unidentifiable. The assailants left only his pocket watch and his keys. No witnesses, no suspect. I think this is my father. And I have to stop this from happening in 1946. I know it's hard to believe. That's why I didn't tell you. And the chances of us succeeding in doing something like this are so small. But we have to try.
So, here's the thing with Continuum. We have all these films that have been out. I mean, recently we had... this is the third time travel film, I think, to come out recently. With we had the one that was with Ethan Hawke recently, and there was another one before that. And Project Almanac was the other one as well, and it's a similar kind of thing with that. The one thing I will say with this is more of the drama. This isn't the big science fiction thing. There's not a big special thing. There's no big real effects in it to show the whole thing of time travel and all. It's just the whole thing of the question of the morality of if we could do this, should we do it? The whole thing of if we do this, will it fix things? Will it make them worse? And the whole question of all that. And it's nice to see it differently. I wouldn't necessarily say it works, because it maybe shows that you could do it differently but not necessarily pull it off. I don't think it's bad. I think it's nicely acted. I think it has some moments in it where you have these sort of scenes between him and the actor playing his father, played by Rufus Sewell, and it's perfectly adequate. It's just nothing exceptional or anywhere near as amazing as a film about time travel really should be. I think it's a little bit disappointing on that front, but I like that it takes a different angle to it. It is the drama of time travel and not the science and the effects and the action thing of it. It's just a drama.
Oh well, that's really helpful, isn't it? When I just come out with the well.
No, you haven't seen it, so I know you haven't seen it, so. No, I mean it's a thing of, I mean, let's say you've got what was the other film with Ethan Hawke?
Predestination.
Predestination, that's the one. Yeah, this is nowhere near as complex as that, and it's definitely nowhere near as flashy as Project Almanac. But you can basically take all three of them and put them together, and you could go, that's the same about certain things, and then you go, this bit's different. So it's the same box as them, but it's different parts.
I might actually watch it because I didn't much like Project Almanac, because I was the one to review Project Almanac. I thought it had an interesting setup, but it didn't follow through with that setup very well. I loved Predestination. I thought it was a very smart movie, and it's got a few little interesting twists and turns in it, and it's very well acted. And so I'm very interested in these sort of like dramatic films that involve time travel, rather than being very like the timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly science fiction kind of thing. I like to see when they take time travel and do something slightly different with it, and the drama side of it is always an interesting side to look at, to see the more in-depth characters. And by the sounds of it, this is the kind of film that I might actually like.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't really will. I mean, for me, the three of them, Predestination is definitely the best of the three, to compare them. Project Almanac is definitely the most
Hollywood,
flashy, Hollywood, big budget popcorn one of it. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that because they're all. I think they're all good and they're all enjoyable. None of them is a flop as far as I'm concerned for turning out to be a final film. But I think that Predestination is a better film than this.
Yeah, well, I think, like I said, I think I'll actually watch it because if it's more akin to Predestination than Project Almanac, I think I might enjoy it more so if that's the case. Right, the final two films of the night, we merged them together because we were supposed to review The Skeleton Twins, but...
Sorry, I didn't have time to see it.
Yeah, exactly. So the two films that I'm going to quickly go over are Starry Eyes and The Remaining. So I'll do Starry Eyes first, which is directed by Kevin Kolsch and Dennis Widmeyer. And it centers around the character of Sarah, who wants to make it big in Hollywood. She is willing to do absolutely anything in Hollywood at all. And so she's finding it really difficult to get any kind of roles. She works at this chicken shop, this chicken restaurant, very much like a KFC or something like that, who's run by Pat Healy's character who plays Carl. And like I said, the jobs that she get are very few and far between. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, she gets asked to go and audition for this very mysterious film company who was sort of like on the lay-by for quite a few years, but they decide to come back and nobody knows very much about them. They make very strange movies. And so she auditions for them. She doesn't do very well at all. She takes it out on herself because she explains that she does this thing, that if she doesn't think that she's done really well during her auditions, she throws a tantrum. She acts like a little spoiled brat. One of the people who was actually auditioning her sees her do this and gets very interested in her character, so they ask her to come back and do exactly the same. And throughout the movie, they're really interested in her doing this very strange thing. And then the movie takes a very weird, dark twist. Sorry. And then that's it. I'm not going to explain anymore because the dark twist... That's brilliant, isn't it? Me and this cough is never disappearing from me. The dark twist...
Managed to go through it like an hour and 20 minutes.
I'm not looking forward to next week, then I think I'll shut up for a good entire week because next week is going to kill me then if that's the case. But the dark twist is where this movie takes a completely weird turn. And the film, like I said, the first 35, 40 minutes of the movie is sort of setting up the characters. It's a slow burn. You're wondering where it's going. And then the weirdness kicks in. And then the strangeness kicks in. And then the over-the-top violence kicks in. And the problem with the film is it just feels a bit disjointed because the fact that it does do that, it never indicates that it's actually going to do something really weird. Now, I love slow burn horror movies. I really like The Innkeepers and The House of the Devil are fantastic movies that take a while before they get going, but they build up so much character, they build up so much tension that when the payoff does finally happen, you're so much on the edge that you've actually fell off your seat by the time the payoff happens. When this happens, it's just a few gory scenes, a bit of strangeness, and you think to yourself, was that it? That's what you were building up to. That was the ultimate weirdness that you were building up to. That's the best you can do. It's very much like an Eric England film called Contracted, which Contracted was about a character who ends up getting this disease and she slowly starts to metamorphose during the movie itself. It's very much like that. There's also a very disgusting little film called Thamantomorphos, which is about a woman who gets this disease which eats her from the inside outwards. And it's not like this is very much the theme with Starry Eyes as well. Thamantomorphos and Contracted are much better films. I highly recommend Contracted over the three. This one is just one of those ones for people who was after a tiny bit of gore and a tiny bit of strangeness at the end of the movie. And that's all it is.
Okay,
the other film, the other film is The Remaining. Now, I seem to be the one to be getting these Christian horror movies because I reviewed about a month and a half ago Left Behind.
No, I did that though first.
I know, I reviewed it as well.
We had Nathan on who reviewed it. You didn't. I don't think you actually got to review it because that was the week we weren't able to come on. So Nathan from We Are the Holocaust.
I thought I reviewed it as well because I reviewed it on DVD.
Oh, did you do it maybe the week later then?
Yeah, I reviewed it on DVD.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, still though. Left Behind was a Christian sort of like science fiction movie starring Nicolas Cage, and it was absolutely atrocious. The Remaining is a Christian horror movie directed by Casey Lascala, and it centres around the apocalypse, the end of the world, where the good go up to heaven and they get their souls taken from their bodies. The bad have to stay down on Earth, and the people who get left on Earth are wondering what's going on. Here's a clip.
Guys, you gotta see this. I was filming and I caught it on tape.
I didn't let go. I don't know. She was right here.
Man, I see what you're looking at. Yeah.
Revelations 9. When the fifth angel sounded his trumpet and opened the abyss, the sun and sky were darkened, and locusts fell upon the earth. Their hair was like women's hair, their teeth were like lions' teeth, and their wings made the sound like the thundering of many horses rushing into battle.
Look, you can see it when I go frame to frame.
They were given stingers like that of scorpions to torment people.
What is this?
One of the fallen.
And what do they want?
To torture. To destroy.
Can we fight them?
No. This is the first season of bad things to come.
Wait, the first?
It's only going to get worse.
And so it does centre around a group of people who are at a wedding. The end of the world supposedly happens. They have to try and survive it, very much like Cloverfield. This is actually building itself, trying to be like Cloverfield, but with the apocalypse happening rather than sort of like a big, huge, massive Godzilla kind of monster, and biblical elements happening to it. So you've got, during the film, you've got things like the locusts and a few other bits and bobs that supposedly accounted for in the Bible, which explains what happens at the end of the world and why people get left on the planet, yet all the good people get took up to heaven. But the way the movie actually portrays that is that it's like a bad thing, that the people who are getting their souls taken out, because it's just them dying quite nastily. It's quite painful, their death. And so the movie is just really weirdly made. It gets a few little bits and bobs right with some of the shaky cam stuff, where it is darkness that's happening, and there's a few tiny little scenes where it tries its best to be tense. But because the movie is trying its hardest to shove so much of the Bible down your throat regarding the end of the world and the apocalypse and all that stuff, you just want to throw up pages of the Bible because it feels like that's what's going to happen. And I hate movies that preach to you. And movies that preach to you, especially movies that are very religious movies that preach to you, makes you even more angry. And putting it in a genre like horror, it's a strange thing to do. Because religion, even though if you look at the Bible and some of the stories, they've got the dark elements to it. If you go to a vicar or a priest, they try their best not to talk about people being ripped apart or any of that kind of stuff. And horror is all about the evil in the world. So why would you create a biblical movie inside of a horror film? What would be the point of doing that? Who the hell is going to actually be interested in this kind of thing? Because you're going to turn off horror fans from watching it, yet you're going to turn off heavy religious people from watching it because they won't want to see any kind of violence in a movie. They would not want to see any kind of blood in a movie. That's not their lifestyle. So this movie is aimed at, I don't know who. It's not aimed at either of the camp, and it's a pointless film. I wish directors would realise that Hollywood and religion should never mix. Any kind of movie that's set in Hollywood, that's created in the US, whether it be a small budget indie movie or a big, huge, massive blockbuster film, religion should never mix with it because it's never going to suit the ideology that religion has. Religion in movies should be kept to The kind of films that they used to actually make in. Never meld them together. And melding it with a horror movie makes it even more pointless than what it is. So I can't recommend this to anybody because I don't know who it's aimed at. It's a pointless movie.
Sounds more like the typical kind of bargain bucket thing you get then.
Yeah, because we've sort of like missed that over the last couple of weeks. That we haven't had those kind of movies at all. But this isn't even belonging in a bargain bucket because if you look at it and think to yourself, it's a Christian horror film. What? That's a juxtaposition. So much so it's making me cough even more. Got out my system there. Right, that's it for the reviews for this week. I wonder if I can actually get through next week's show without coughing. Probably not going to happen.
You have a week, well, yeah, not exactly a week, but you have time to buy cough bits in.
Yeah, but I don't think this is ever actually going to disappear. I think you need a special cough button to press it, and as soon as I'm about to cough, it actually mutes me. Or makes a weird sound, like a quacking noise or something like that, rather than me coughing, because it's not very nice to hear. TV movies of the week, then. I really hope you haven't got exactly the same as me.
I got a couple. One of them's on Film 4.
Ditto.
The other isn't.
The other one isn't either.
One of them, the one that's on Film 4 is tomorrow night, actually, Wednesday the 18th.
Nope, I'm fine.
9 o'clock on Film 4, The King's Speech, which is a fantastic film. The one that kind of, as much as he was a great actor before then, it's the one that kind of catapulted Colin Firth to being such a big actor that he is now. And rightly so, because he's fantastic in it. But also so is Geoffrey Rush as well, who plays the guy who's trying to help the king from stopping stuttering and having problems speaking and addressing the sort of the nation. The other one is comic books. We're back to comic books again, but it's one that a lot of people have mixed reactions to. I think it's very harshly treated by a lot of people, and it's Daredevil, which is one I really love because I think it's a very dark, atmospheric film. It's on E4 on Saturday 21st at 9 o'clock. So I definitely say check it out if you like comic books, because if you're curious about the Daredevil series that's coming up, some people won't even know who the character is or anything. They could see this and then have a look at it, and I don't think it's a bad, rendition of the character.
Yeah, well, one movie that I didn't actually put down, but I just want to give a quick mention because it's a very strange film. It's on Friday night on Film 4. I can't remember what time it is. It's Bobcat Goldthwait's God Bless America. It's a very weird, violent film. Very strange movie. It's a really...
I would expect probably later than at like 11 o'clock or something.
Yeah, it's past 11 o'clock, but Bobcat Goldthwait, if you've seen his previous films, and he's done one about Bigfoot, which is really bad, actually. It's his worst film by far. But he's a very strange director, and so this one is a really weird, violent film. It's a bit like a comic book movie. It's a bit like Kick-Ass, in a way. Sort of. Actually, more like Super. More like James Gunn's Super.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, I sort of recommend that one. But the two that I've written down is on Saturday the 21st at 10:50, Sinister. Scott Derrickson's Sinister. I really like Sinister. This was the first film where it actually showed Ethan Hawke as somebody different rather than the kind of movies that he did previously. He's now sort of like the go-to guy to go for slightly stranger horror movies, and Sinister is very well put together. It's got a few faults here and there, but I think it's Scott Derrickson's best film. And the other, so that's on Film 4 on Saturday the 21st at 10:50. And my other choice is on Friday the 20th at 9 o'clock on 5 Star, is A Lonely Place to Die. Melissa George film where she's a hiker in Scotland with a few friends. She discovers a kid that's buried under the ground, and all of a sudden they get attacked and they have to try and survive. Melissa George, again, she's sort of like become the scream queen, the go-to woman when it comes to horror movies, because she was in a movie called Touristas. Can't remember the name of it over here.
Lost Paradise.
Yeah, that's it. It was called
Triangle as well. It was Triangle?
Yeah, Triangle. I love Triangle. Triangle's a weird Christopher Smith movie, but I love that film. But Lonely Place to Die is very highly recommended. It's on 5 Star, like I said, on Friday the 20th at 9 o'clock.
I think that might actually be its premiere in the UK as well for television, for broadcast.
Which is an interesting channel to have your premiere on 5 Star. Yeah. So that's it for this week's show. Our movies of the week, then.
Well, it can't be Run All Night, so I don't have a cinema one.
Oh.
I'm just going to say Hunger Games Mockingjay, Part 1. But
Yeah, I'll take up the cinema mantle and please go and see X plus Y. It is really. It's only going to be shown in small cinemas, more so
Surprisingly say that though, it is showing in my local one in Scotland in Falkirk, which is one that doesn't normally get sort of small releases. So it's getting a bigger release than you think.
Is it a big chain one?
It is. It's a World of Cine.
Yeah,
it's a World of Cine that normally doesn't get those kind of films. If they do get them at all, it's normally a week or two after they've been released.
Well, that's not going to be the case after the films that are released this Friday. So it's.
Yeah.
I think that maybe's realised that and thinking this is probably the only time where we're going to get to actually show this one. But I know a cinema which is around about 45-50 minutes away from where I live, which shows all it deals in is smaller films, and so it's not bothered about these big blockbuster movies. It might have one or two showings of these big blockbuster movies, but it's more interested in movies like X plus Y or foreign films. So, for example, The Tale of Princess Kaguya, which is out on Friday, they're actually showing it in the subtitled version and the English version. So they're showing both versions of the film. Which
you mentioned that a Studio Ghibli film coming out and Stuart not mention it? No.
I know, but it's interesting to see a cinema showing a dubbed version and the subtitled version rather than just showing one or the other. So yeah, I would say X and Y cinema wise, DVD Blu Ray. I loved Horns. I have to say, even though I thought Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 was better the second time round, I think Horns. I loved that film. It's weirdly strange. So make sure you check out our website mondaymovieshow.co.uk. You can find out when we're going to be on next, which is probably going to change from the date that I normally put on the posting. But you never know. We'll also try and get a few more trailers and a few other bits and bobs up on the site. You can leave us some feedback on Spreaker. Even though the show is not up and running, you can actually still leave it on our Spreaker page, or on Facebook, facebook.com/Monday Movie Show, or on Twitter @Monday Movie Show. I'm at Cryptic Tadpole on there, Andrew's at EHDVD. You can also email us mondaymovieshow@yahoo.com. And also make sure you check out followingthenerd.com, which is back live this Thursday. They weren't on last Thursday, down to something, I don't know what, but they're going to have a probably epically 5-hour long show on Thursday. And also from page 2...
And a good rant at Paul...
Fake. Yeah. Yeah, but that's down to Saxon and his Ghostbusters thing, and Mark's Ghostbusters thing, and it doesn't help if you include me, because I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan as well, so you're going to rant heavy there. And you've also got Stuart, he's recording from page 2 Scream, next episode on Sunday, which I'm involved with, and also from page2screen.com, which is the website you can go to for his stuff, which he posts numerous amount of stuff and puts our site to shame. I hate him. Right, and so we will be back sometime next week, either Sunday or Monday, hopefully not Tuesday, because it's really strange recording the show on a Tuesday. But Sunday or Monday, I'm hoping it's not Sunday because I'm busy as it is then. I'm hoping it's Monday. But we'll let you know anyway on the site and on Twitter. So until next week, we'll play you out with a clip from one of the 8 films that are released this Friday. It's actually out this Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, it's getting shown in 2'd and 3'd, which is the Divergent series Insurgent. So until next week, goodbye.
Bye.
Ginny's never going to stop searching for you.
Why? What does she want with her? Tell me.
Look, all I know is she's exactly what Ginny needs. She's the perfect subject.
You're responsible for the death of hundreds of people. You know the punishment for that.
Listen, I've found a way to live with the blood on my hands. And can you?